Yeah, perfect. So can I just get like, some good vibrations in the chat box? This increases energy, get the positive vibrations going. So let's drop a number 1 in the chat box. If you're feeling good today, feeling upbeat, you have some good energy, just drop that in the chat box. Let us get this going. Yay. All right, cool. Nice to see everyone feeling well. All right, speakers, how are you guys doing? Just do a brief introduction on who you are, just your name, your title, and just a little, like a mini little sentence just to describe yourself, just so people can get to know you a little bit more.
Okay, I guess I'll start.
Anyway,
I guess I'll start. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Hope everybody's filled with a lot of energy today. I got a lot of love, a lot of light. I think today's going to be a super dope day. My name is Frida Ancora. I'm a founder and the head talent manager of Free Dreams Management. I'm also a hairstylist on the side. My agency manages talent here in Canada and the US in different sectors of entertainment, as well as plan and put together events. So that's kind of the main thing I do. But on the side, because my mom blessed me with these really great hands, I'm also a hairstylist. So a few different multiple things going on, but that's who I am. I hope everybody has a great day at this event. I'm super excited to speak to all of you guys.
Me too. Jessica or Gnarly can go.
So my name is Jessica Alex, and I'm the founder of Jessica Alex Marketing, and my focus is on PR as well as content marketing. I find that it's so important to just show the best side of your brand, right? And sometimes as people, we're putting out different types of content, but I guess I'm kind of skipping ahead. I'm ready to start talking about my topic. So let me roll it back. So, I whenever it comes to talking about marketing, I just like jump right into it. So walking it back a little bit, my passion is really with working with female entrepreneurs to help them with their brand to shine both on and offline. We have amazing products, we have amazing gifts. So my role basically is to sit down with my clients and really come up with a strategy to show your best version of yourself, both again, on and offline, through branding, through marketing, and through public relations.
That's amazing. Hi, everyone. My computer's lagging a little bit, so sorry if I lag, but my name is Gnarly Carey. I'm so excited to be here. I am a mindset coach for women, female entrepreneurs. I help women get out of their own way when they're struggling with the limiting beliefs, the fears, and the self-sabotage. That's where I come in and really help them, rewrite their life story and get out of their own way so they can have the confidence and the clarity and the cash flow they really desire. So I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Creative Collab.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And for those who know me, my name is Brooke Wright. I am the founder of Creative Collab, and I created it because honestly, I just seen a problem that needs to be solved. Me being a content creator myself, I know how much help we need, honestly, on different levels, right? Financially, intellectually, and mentally. So I created this business, this social enterprise, so I can do that. So I can help you guys and help content creators not only get more opportunities, but also to focus on our self-care, because that is important. And so hence the title for today's event is Content, Cash, and Self-Care. Because again, I believe in not only taking care of yourself professionally, but personally as well. So we are going to jump right into it because it is going to be a packed event. So let's get into it. We're going to first start with a 30-second deep breathing exercise. So this is great. I wanted to show you guys this because it's, again, as content creators, we get very overwhelmed. We get very stressed, because there's a lot that goes into being a content creator. And so there's a way where you can ground yourself, right? There's a way where you can just calm your mind, your body, your spirit, especially when you are feeling overwhelmed, especially when you're feeling doubtful or any kind of negative energy, okay? So we're going to start in about 10 seconds. I want you guys to get comfortable, let go, let loose, feel good, let the tension go, all that good stuff. And so what you're going to do is you're just going to take a deep breath in for 5 seconds slowly. Hold it for 5 seconds. And then let go for 5 seconds. And then do it again. So inhale for 5 seconds. Hold for 5 seconds. And let go for 5 seconds. Woo, who felt that vibe? Drop a 3 in the chat if you felt that. Right? That was like 30 seconds and you literally just change your vibration. So whenever you feel like, oh my gosh, you're on your social media, you're on your computer, you feel like, oh my gosh, just step back for 30 seconds and do that 5-second deep breath and it will change your life, right? Okay, cool. Ooh, I feel a vibe. I'm happy that you guys also feel the vibe. Okay, cool. All right, so let's get into this. Panel questions. Jessica, all right, so when it comes to content creation, right, creating content, how can creators know what content will increase their engagement, right? And is there a way content creators can create content with some kind of certainty that the content they're creating will increase that engagement?
Well, first of all, thank you again for having me be a part of this. And it's just a great way for me to also step out of my comfort zone. So thank you. I just want to put that out there. So in terms of creating content, I think the key thing to do is research as well as experimentation. Right? So before you start putting out content, look at, there's research or studies out there that are available that have already been done. So for example, there's a study that shows that people retain 95% of a message in video compared to just 10% when reading it in text. So things like that are already available for you. So you can kind of be like, okay, if I'm going to put out a certain piece of content, maybe this particular message is better served if it's in a video format. So that's one way I would say, like, you know, do that research. Another way that you can also do research is most likely whatever you're doing, someone else has already done it, right? So you can look at other brands out there who are doing really well and what is it that their audience likes? Because if they have the same target audience as you, then look at, you know, are their audience really reacting well to memes, for example? Are they reacting well to infographics? Are they reacting well to video or photos? So that's what I would suggest. Look at, you know, what other brands in the similar field are doing. Not to copy, because you want to be unique, you want to do your own thing, but just kind of look at in terms of the type of content that's working for them and try to implement it. And then now that leads to experimentation, right? Because sometimes we can, you know, say, okay, yeah, that person, you know, video is really working well for them. So then you might implement video, but then you want to look at, is your actual audience, which really is your tribe, right? That's what you're trying to build, a tribe. Are they reacting well to video or maybe carousels, quote posts, pictures of yourself, infographics? So you want to kind of play around with it. And that's where like analytics will come into play, looking at, okay, you know, which posts are doing the best, you know, and kind of just use that as a way to kind of guide you going forward, right? So you know, you create a strategy ahead, you do your research ahead, but at the end of the day, you have to go out and actually do it. And that's when you're going to really know if that content is working well for you.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you pointed out, you know, looking at basically what's working for someone else and kind of just taking inspiration from that, right? Because I think a lot of times content creators, we overwhelm ourselves thinking, oh my gosh, like, what can we do? What can we do? And it's like, yeah, okay, just find someone that's kind of, you know, relevant to you or aligned with you and then gain inspiration from that. So I love that you pointed that out. I think that's very, very important. Okay, so Frida, I have a question for you. What are 3 mandatory things that us content creators must do in order to get noticed by brands?
3 mandatory things. Okay. So one of the biggest misconceptions that I find when I'm dealing with my talent or when they're trying to get interest from a brand is they don't even follow the brand. They don't follow the brand. They don't really represent the brand's aesthetics. They don't represent anything that has to do with the brand. So if you want a brand to be aligned with you and you want to do any sort of business with them or you want to represent them, brands are more likely to work with people that already embody their aesthetics, embody their brand identity, their brand story, already kind of live in the way in which that brand is trying to portray their story. So if they see that you're already following their every move because you're naturally interested in what it is that they're selling, they're pitching, they're doing, as well as you're already using their product, using their content, wearing their clothes. If you're already doing things that align with that brand, they're going to notice you more than they notice somebody that sure may have these great followers, but their aesthetics and just kind of the way they live their life or the way they present their brand identity does not align. So the biggest thing is actually making sure that you actually align with another brand's identity. And that is something that naturally comes easy to you because you thoroughly enjoy that. So making sure you're aligned with the brand. If you do already own some of their product, or if you're already wearing some of their clothes, naturally tag them. I find especially a lot of influencers that are a little bit bigger, they feel like, well, I don't want to tag people because I don't want to just look like everything is an ad or everything's a promotion. But a lot of the times, if brands aren't if you don't tag their stuff and people don't shop based on what you've done, or even possibly tag them in the comments when they see that, hey, I got this from this person because I seen that they bought it and they were wearing and I really liked it. How else is a brand really seeing you? Exactly. Right? So there's nothing wrong with tagging brands. As much as it looks like an ad or it looks like you're trying to get that awareness, there's actually nothing physically wrong with that. Because no matter what, you're not doing it on their accord. You are naturally doing it on your own accord anyway. So either way, it's still going to come off authentic to you because this is something that you bought with your hard-earned money. You already own. So you're excited about promoting them because it's something that you already enjoy, right? So when they see that, knowing, hey, like, this is a really pretty girl, really attractive looking man, and he is rocking the hell out of our clothes naturally and feels no way telling people where they got it from. You're a walking billboard when you're walking down Queen Street, when you're walking in New York, when you're walking through Brooklyn, you're a walking billboard anyway. So there's nothing wrong with you telling people willingly and naturally where you purchased something. Or you took this trip because you seen that this hotel was really dope and somebody else checked it out. So when you went there, you tagged them because, hey, they gave you the service that you needed. You love the aesthetics. You love the way, just the production of everything and how everything went. So you tagging these brands naturally and willingly, there's nothing wrong with that. And they're going to see that. So naturally already, that's going to be the first way that you can connect with them. And if you're doing it on your own, there's authenticity there, right? I'd say the third way you can get a brand's notice is consistency. Consistency. Social media is all about consistency. Social media growth is awareness 101. Sometimes you literally have to berate and bombard your followers with what you're doing. But the whole point is relevancy, and you cannot be relevant if you're floating at the bottom because you're posting once a month, once every other week, or whatever the case is. So sometimes you have to literally berate people with your content, berate people with your face, be constantly in public view and in the public eye for more people to discuss you, for more people to have conversations about you, for more people to then turn around and share you to a brand or offer you to a brand or tag you to a brand. You'd be surprised how many times I've seen my clients, people tag my clients' names on brands' web pages because they're like, oh, I seen this person wearing it, like she killed this or he killed this, whatever the case is, right? So you have to be consistent in the content that you're putting out. So you can create that relevance, like that relevancy to your following, to these people. And the more people are now speaking about you, sharing your content, passing along your information, the more brands will start to pay attention. Because at the end of the day, that also in itself is real influence, right? If you're creating content that people are constantly talking about and they're reposting, they're resharing because they genuinely love what you displayed and they want more people to see it, it's going to be more eyes and a bigger opportunity for the actual brand that you're showcasing to see it.
True.
Right? So I would say 100%, those are the three main things that I want all content creators to focus on. How often you're posting your content obviously still needs to be good and authentic to you. You naturally tagging these people and you making sure that you are already aligned with that brand identity.
I love that. You point out something that's so good about tagging brands, because it's so funny. There's a lot of misinformation out here. I was actually on a call just like 2 weeks ago, and someone said to not tag brands because you seem spammy. And I already knew when I heard that, I was just like, no. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. So like, but there were some people who actually took that information and ran with it. So I really thank you for sharing that, especially doing what you do. You know this, right? So for those out there who are like, oh my God, I want to tag brands, you better start tagging them. If you want those opportunities to flow in, you got to start tagging them. So thank you for sharing that. So everyone in the chat box, I just want to quickly plug in that if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I won't ask them until at the end of the event. However, just so you don't forget, just put them in the chat box and we'll come back to them later on. Also, I'm going to drop a poll right now. Please take time to answer it. All right, it's just a poll. Quick question is asking, are you confident in your brand's message? All right, so I'll leave that on for another 5 seconds. All right, 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much. All right, so the poll says, okay, 44% of you aren't sure if you're confident in your brand's message. All right, so stay tuned. We're definitely gonna be talking a lot about confidence just now. And speaking of confidence, Gnarly, I'm coming for you. I have a question.
Yes.
So what can content creators do to be more confident about their work and themselves without allowing the vanity metrics to self-sabotage?
Absolutely. So one thing to keep in mind is, when it comes to social media, it is about repetition and awareness. So in the grand scheme of things, it's really good to get into this like experiment mode, right? You want to just show up for yourself and validate yourself first, right? There's this one quote that I love. It's some will, some won't, someone's waiting, right? Some will love you, some won't give a damn, but someone's waiting for you to show up and be yourself and share your truth, right? So serve those people. 100 people in a room is a lot of people. Like if there's 100 people in my room, let's say those are followers or whatever, that's a lot of people. So serve the crap out of them. Remind them why, they're following you in the first place, and have fun with it. It's social media. I think a lot of people get anxious with the whole I don't know if they're going to like me. There's a statistic and it says 30% of people won't like you. That's just fact, right? But 70% of people will like you, So focus on the grand scheme of things, right? And it is your responsibility to live your dreams. It is your responsibility to carry out the desires in your heart. So trust your gut. And as long as your intention is in the right place, share your work. Your work is unique to you, right? I used to get a lot of people won't take me seriously type of negative limiting beliefs that I used to have. And I found that if I take myself seriously, if I, am my number one fan, then people will feel that energy and know that I'm someone to be taken seriously, right? And one other thing with anxiety and frustration, know the difference between a task and a project, right? A task could be like doing laundry. It gets done real quick, right? But a project could be like a YouTube channel. That's an ongoing project. So break it down. There's things like Trello, Google Drive, all sorts of things. So get organized as well, set yourself up to win. And vanity metrics, don't even sweat it. There's that girl that had 3 million followers. Can you sell a t-shirt? It's not super important. What's important is you serve the audience you do have, and that energy will attract more, right? So change your meaning with the numbers, change your meaning, how you perceive social media. It's a platform. It's fun. We're all here because of social media. How else did I meet you guys, right? So lessen the anxiety by just trusting that what you have to say is important and someone is waiting for you to share it.
I love that. I love that. On the topic of confidence, this is a question for all speakers. So have you or do you still experience imposter syndrome? And if so, what is your number one way of pushing through it?
I'll answer that first because a lot of my clients deal with imposter syndrome. It is a real thing. 60% of women deal with it, especially in the corporate world. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I don't think imposter syndrome is real, to be honest, because who else is living your dreams? Who else is the one that's been gathering this knowledge? It's you. There's no other person that's doing it, right? So it comes down to self-trust. Trust that this knowledge and the journey that you've been on has gotten you here for a reason. And if they're going to interview you or give you this opportunity to speak, it's because you've earned it, period. So that's my take on imposter syndrome.
I love that. I love that.
So for myself, I've definitely dealt with self-imposter syndrome. Maybe it's not real, but you know, I've dealt with it throughout my adult life. And the way that I deal with it is saying yes, right, to opportunities. Stepping, like I had mentioned earlier, thanking you, Brooke, for, you know, allowing me to step out of my comfort zone. These are the type of things that, like, if you feel doubtful, sorry, I lost you guys there for a second. Yeah, so like if you feel doubtful about your skills, your abilities, and an opportunity comes, even if you don't feel prepared, even if you have any type of self-doubt, how to push through that, it's just going for it and actually saying yes to the opportunities and putting yourself out there, keep showing up for yourself. I think those are ways to kind of break through that self-imposter syndrome. Or imposter syndrome. I'm calling it a new name. There we go.
I love that. What about you, Frida?
For me, that's so tricky because the industry I'm in is so vain and is full of imposters that it's so hard not to get wrapped up. And I think I did struggle with this in the beginning because it wasn't really a keeping up with the Joneses mentality, but it was more like, okay, well, I'm seeing what's working for a lot of these managers. I'm seeing with the way they look and the places that they need to be in. Like, I've really been set on moving to the States because I just feel like there's more opportunity there for what I do, and just because there's a little bit more access and there's more things happening. But then I had to take a step back to realize that even though I'm not in the mecca or in the heart of what is really going on in the heart of entertainment, being in America for the most part, like Marley said, I've still been able to acquire skills even from here in Canada, where the field that I'm in is not really glorified or is not as big or does not bring as much revenue. I've still been able to make moves and do things here based on how my willingness to learn, how much I've taken in, all of the different mentors and different people that I've spoken to, even from here. Doing work from here has still been able to give me a level of success that some people may not have gotten, or sure, it might have been easier if I moved there and just kind of been in the heart of everything. But at the same time, if you are more than willing to still put yourself out there, if you're willing to take the risks that it needs to get things done, you're willing to educate yourself, and you still have that drive and that passion to do it, it could still get done no matter what. So I think it was a lot of self-reflection to understand that, okay, you're not where you need to be. You're not in the space that's going to make this a little bit easier, but you've still done things. You've still gotten things done. You've still built this. So I think it's that constant reminder that no matter what the obstacles are, if you really, really care, if this really matters to you, if it's that important to you, you could still find a way to make it happen. So I think that's what's helped me step out of that imposter syndrome. And I also realized I've spent a lot of time in LA, and these people are different is the nicest way I can say it. And you seeing that, and you seeing how much it really doesn't resonate with you because the real you can't fall in line with that, it also helps you take a step back. So it's like you might start to dive into this imposter syndrome, but when you really see what that looks like, what that feels like, what some of these people have had to endure because they've lived that life, when you really know who you are, it becomes scary. So I think I've also been even scarred out of that because I've seen what that looks like to people that have just got sucked into this vanity. And it's like, that's not me. I don't like that. Like, I'm not comfortable with that. So I think I've even just personally been scarred out of it. But in the beginning, I'm not going to lie to you, it was more about, well, who's doing what? How are they looking? And how do they look doing it? How do they talk? How do they sound doing it? And it's like, well, maybe if I emulate that, if I project that, I can get there too. And I realized that some things didn't work the same. Like you said, a lot of it's trial and error. And I had to really get to a point where I understood that I was still doing it regardless. Regardless of the fashion, regardless of the high-end looks, regardless of the location, I was still able to do it. And that really more came from the drive, the passion, the love for what I like to do. Still was able to push me. So I you know what, I agree somewhat with Gnarly that, you know, a lot of this thing is very mental. A lot of it is very mental. A lot of it is being self-aware. A lot of it is being more understanding of what it is that you need, as opposed to comparing what others needed in that time, because it's never going to be the same. Never going to be the same. But what happens with society and what happens with the mental is that you create these weird realities for yourself. Yeah. And it's hard to ignore that. So I think it's real in the sense where you get sucked into these weird norms and these weird realities, but then it's not real in the sense of it's actually really all in your mind.
You know, yeah, it comes down to the mindset. We all know that, right? Like, we have been programmed in so many different ways, shapes, and forms when it comes to our mindset and just how we operate in life. And so imposter syndrome is just another thing that we've been, you know, invisibly, you know, programmed to kind of like go through and think all these different things and feel all these different feelings. When it's like Gnarly said, it's like when you really think about it, it's not real. But I love that topic, but we'll get into that, you know, another time. But speaking of branding, I love. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that, like, just to remember that your experiences are very valuable, right? The good and the bad experiences. And Frida is something that I love. I say it all the time to myself: show up regardless of the results. That's how you win. Show up regardless.
The results, for sure. Yeah. Make sure you guys are taking notes. I hope you guys are taking notes. And don't forget, we have some giveaways and all that good stuff coming later on. But yeah, so speaking of branding, because I love what Frida said about your why, especially, you know, overcoming the doubt and all that imposter syndrome negativity, you know, is going back to that why. And so we have another poll coming up. I want to ask you guys, you know, why did you start your brand? All right, so take some time to answer that. Why did you start your brand? Now, these are obviously very generic, basic, you know, answers, but it does tap into what Frida was saying of going back to your why. So whenever you do get to these feelings and do get to these doubtful energies, you can be like, you can go back to your why. You can remind yourself, why did I start my brand, right? All right, and we'll give it about another 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right. Let me share those with you guys. You guys all right. So most people started their branding due to passion. That's amazing. Saw someone do it on purpose. All right.
I love the honesty of the people that said they saw someone do it.
Saw someone do it. I love that. I love that. I love that. All right.
I was gonna say money, but I was like, nah, that's
I love the honesty. I love that. That's what we're here for, right? Okay. Jessica, so, you know, your social media, especially as of lately, it is popping. So I love it. You know, you're very consistent on Instagram. And as a content PR coach, can you share some ways that help you stay consistent with your branding, your content, and your scheduling?
Great. Okay, so what's helped me in terms of staying consistent, first of all, thank you for the compliment. Let's just put that out there. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Gratitude is the move, right? But yeah, in terms of being consistent when it comes to my content, it's all about planning in advance, right? So for myself, I do typically try to plan at least a month in advance my content. Now, of course, there could be situations that happen, whether it's in your personal life or it could happen like in the world, like look at recent events that's been happening. So you may have to like, you know, tweak and change things. But for the most part, I aim to plan my content in advance, right? Because I find that when you kind of wait till the last minute, and you're kind of panicking and you're just putting something out there because, oh my gosh, I haven't posted in like 2 weeks, right? Let me find something to slap on there. So take that time, even if it's just like an hour or 2 hours, like one day, right? And just look at, okay, what is it that I'm going to put out for that entire month, right? Also, I look at my scheduling, right? And going back to my earlier point about experimentation. So there was a point where I was posting like daily, right? And I found when I posted daily and the content that I was posting, my growth was very slow, but also my engagement was kind of tapering off, right? So I had to look and I had to reevaluate, am I giving the right content for my audience, right? Am I providing the right value? That is the key. You want to be able to provide value to your audience. Am I doing that? So when I looked at it and I'm like, okay, what is it that I can do to make some changes? I looked at actually posting less on my feed, and specifically I'm talking about, of course, Instagram. So I focus on posting less, so about 3 times a week on my feed, but creating content that is high value for my clients, right? Or my audience, I should say. And then, so that was key. So for some people, once a day, 3 times a day, it really varies, right? Like, so pay attention to your audience, right? And what they like and what they want. I found when I started doing that, that's when I got more engagement. That's when I started to grow again. So I think that's very important to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
And really, again, not just the amount of times you post, but what you're posting. Like, is this bringing value to my clients or my audience,
Mm-hmm.
right? And even though I post less on my feed, I actually am more active in my stories, right? Mm-hmm. So if anybody's watching this right now and is, taking notes, I'm not saying that you must post once a day or you must post 3 times a day. I'm saying, or 3 times a week even. I'm saying pay attention to what your audience wants, and wherever you find that sweet spot, I do recommend that you do be in your stories more often. Daily is the best, right? So in being able to not get overwhelmed with how much content you have to create, again, it goes back to planning ahead. And if planning a month in advance seems like it's too much, because I don't believe in cookie cutter, right? We're all different. We all process things differently. There are different ways of doing things. So if a month seems like it's too much, then start with a week, right? So let's say if it's a Friday, then you plan from Monday to Sunday, right? And you keep an eye on what you're putting out there and seeing how that is relating to your audience. And then try that. And then eventually maybe you might get to planning a month in advance. But just start somewhere. And I would always recommend, again, planning ahead. And there are also tools out there that you can use in terms of on the aesthetic side of things. Let's say you have brainstormed, okay, I'm going to talk about these topics. I'm going to post about this brand on this day, that kind of thing. But how is it all going to come together once all the photos or all the videos are on your page? So there are third-party apps that you can use, ones that are very popular for Instagram, Later, Planoli, Plan with 2 N's. Those are a couple of ones that are very popular that you can use. And then outside of Instagram, because creating content isn't just for Instagram, you can create content on other platforms as well. Your website copy can be considered content, your blog, your newsletters. So there are other tools out there like MailChimp that you can use, for example, for your newsletter, and planning that in advance as well, right? So you don't have to be hopping on things every single day if that's too overwhelming for you. There's Hootsuite, HubSpot, Sprout Social. These are all different platforms that you can potentially use if posting, going into a platform every day is too overwhelming for you. So that's what I would just say, find different apps that can help you, but also, again, plan in advance. Very, very important to do that.
That's awesome. No, that's awesome information that you shared. So speaking of vanity metrics, I want to kind of go off script here because I feel like there is a thin line, and this is what I'm hearing from a lot of marketers as well. And so Frida, you guys can all chime in. But so there's a thin line between vanity metrics, right? Because there's one side of people saying, even if you get 1 like or 2 like or 3 likes, it's still post because you never know, in a year or 2 years that can turn into 30,000 likes, right? Or then you have the other side, just kind of like you were saying, Jessica, where it's you do want to give the audience what they're kind of already like or what they're gravitating towards, right? So it's that thin line. So can you guys kind of speak on that? When someone's battling that, I guess, what can they do in that sense? Should they just keep posting and be authentic, even if they get 3 likes? Or should they not post that and then focus on what's getting 30 or 300 likes?
I think for me...
Well, if I can jump in.
Yeah, go ahead, Jessica.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jessica, because then you can
try sorry about
before. That's good.
So thank you. So when I think about that, right, what's more important is the value that you're bringing to your audience more than the number of likes that you're getting, right? So again, as you were saying, there's kind of that thin line. I do think that it's important to, let's say if you have 100 followers, right? Or whether it's 100, 500,000, 10,000. At some point, you should reevaluate your content to make sure that it's resonating with your audience, right? And at this time, what kind of shows if it's resonating is the engagement, but not just the likes. It could be the comments, it could be the shares, it could be the saves, even people DMing you in private, right? People message me all the time and say that my content helps them, right? So that's how I more know that, okay, I am giving that value. I think that's more the key than you reposting something that you know is going to get a lot of views. Like, for example, there's a video, right, that's already out there, and you take it from someone else's page because it's doing really well. And then, yeah, you just got 1,000 likes on your page from that reshared video, but does it relate to your brand? Does it relate to your message? What are you getting out of that other than the likes, right? So I think that's where vanity comes into place. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, Brooke, because I feel like a lot of times people are more conscious or concerned with how much likes or followers they get, as opposed to whether or not they're reaching the right person, right? So if you get 10 likes on your post, but those 10 likes are people that are actually your potential clients, they're going to be part of your tribe, that's more important than you getting 100 likes and next week they don't care what else you're posting, right? Do you know what I mean? So I think that is something that people need to kind of change their mindset on. Quality over quantity, right? That's what I would say.
I love that. Thank you. So, what were you going to say, Frida? Oh,
for the most part, I was going to say the same thing, but I think you have to scale it over time. So I think that's the biggest thing that a lot of people miss too, that is going to change over time. If you are a creator that is just starting out, as a creator that is just starting out, I personally think that the most important thing is to actually find your audience. Find your audience and start to create your tribe. And the only way you're going to do that is sometimes posting every and anything, tomfoolery, whatever is authentic to you, whatever is fun to you, experiment. Because then what you're going to start noticing is the things that are doing really well, you give a little bit more of while you sneak in something new. Then it's like whatever you're giving more, like is really, really good, you give a little bit more of that to build up that audience, and then you sneak something new. And it's like every single time you sneak something new into it, you gauge it, you monitor it, and then you assess it. So I think in the beginning, it's really all about put every and anything out there and just build that buzz, build that awareness, find out what you're comfortable with, find out what you even like to do. Because there's going to be some things that you might have even tried and you're like a week later, I freaking hate this. I've worked with a lot of beauty creators and some of them hate get ready with me's. Some of them would rather just do a swipe up of their process. Some of them love video, but you're not going to know that until you do all of it and see what comes natural, what maybe brings out a different side of you, a certain personality, what aesthetics that even looks like. So I think in the beginning, it's all about experimenting and literally throw every and anything out there at people as long as it's authentic to you and it's things that you enjoy. And then as you are doing that, you're going to monitor and you're going to scale and you're going to assess what is working. Mm-hmm. And then whatever is working, you give a lot of that, but every now and then give a little plot twist. Throw something else in the curve, throw something else in the fold, and see if that also sticks. Mm-hmm. So it's literally throwing darts out there and you're going to see what sticks. And it's the things that stick, you give a little bit more of. Because a lot of the times too, you have to understand as you're growing, as you're getting older, as you're maturing, so is your audience. Yeah. So it's gonna be a point in time too where all that stuff that was working before will no longer apply. So this is where the experimenting and throwing things in every now and then when you're discovering new things that you will love, new things that you enjoy, new things that you're even naturally good at that you didn't even think about before. As you throw those in, you're going to gauge how your audience reacts to that, right? I actually think it's really important to even ask your audience polls of what they like and what they've seen before. Sometimes ask. I think we make all these assumptions that you have all the answers, and sometimes your audience will straight up tell you, I don't really care for your story times. I just want to see more hair tutorials. Sis, I don't care about what happened when you went to the club. I want to see more hair tutorials. I want to see more of your beauty looks. I don't care that you partied with Leah J last week. I don't care. I like her. You know what I mean? Like, people will tell you. People are bright. Like, they'll tell you. Especially if you built a following that is really authentic and really rocks with you, and they're really about you. Because no matter what you push, people need to fall in love with you. You are the brand. So they need to fall in love with what you enjoy, what you're reading, where you like to go, what you want to listen to. So a lot of the times I even tell my clients, if you're a beauty or a fashion influencer, you should still tell people what music you like. You should still tell people what food you like to eat, because this is all a part of your creative process and what makes you you. And they're going to fall in love with you as that person, but that person that has this talent, they still kind of want to know what's behind that person. Why do you think we follow social media? Why do we think we follow talent now, or we follow celebrities now. It's because you want to see what their life looks like behind the music, behind the acting, behind all of the red carpets. What do you do in your day-to-day? What are you wearing? That's why some people can't really resonate with, like, for an example, of Beyonce, because her entire feed literally looks like a magazine. It's not realistic. You can't relate to it. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's not. So then when you see like a Kylie who is showing you literally every 2 seconds what she's doing in her backyard, you're going to relate to that because maybe you do that in your backyard. You're swinging on trees. Maybe you're just lounging. You know what I mean? So it's like, it really depends on what your audience wants, but you have to sometimes throw a lot at them. And it has to be a lot of who you are, because nobody is one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Agreed.
Everybody's multifaceted. Everybody's multidimensional. So you got to show and give a lot of that and see what sticks. And then every now and then shoot them a curveball and see if that goes too. And then, like Jessica and Gnarly say, monitor what is going on, monitor what you're giving them, monitor what they react to.
I love that.
I'd love to add, for me, I've had a very unique experience with social media. Started off on there as a model, monetizing my modeling, and then got into influencer, started monetizing the influencer stuff, and now I'm doing life coaching, right? So that's a whole bunch of pivoting and sharing my messages and changing how people perceive me, right? But what I love what Frida said about having like content pillars, right? Have 3 things. I tell my clients, like, if TED Talk came to talk to you today and said, we have to give you a speech, have 3 things that you would just talk on ramble about, right? So for me, it's definitely empowerment, confidence, mindset, and like just living your best life, right? And share different pieces of those pillars, right? So just keep it simple to start. And again, like social media, you tell people who you are and they respond, right? Don't wait for them to tell you, but definitely ask those questions. Those polls are life-saving. I remember I was going to do this, like, I was going to create this whole program off of like something I thought people wanted. And I was like, wait, let me just ask. I saved myself like 48 hours of work, right? So just ask them what they want to, but definitely have content pillars to help you like just narrow it down. Like I'm going to be talking about beauty, wellness, and that, right? So.
I love that. You guys, amazing. I hope everyone in the audience is taking notes. And again, just like Jessica said, it's not cookie cutter, right? You have to find what works for you. And I'm taking everything that these ladies are saying, and I already found what works for me. I'm already knowing what I'm going to do after this video. So again, take what works for you, what you know you align with, okay? So we're going to take a quick break right now. But before we do, I want you guys to drop some numbers, some emojis in the chats if you're gaining some value from this. Drop a number 3 or drop your favorite emoji.
Alicia asked a really good question in the chat.
Pardon? Ask them a question?
Alicia asked a really good question in the chat.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Do you want to answer that now or should we wait?
Let me see. Okay, we can answer this quick before we go on to the break. Okay, so Alicia, thank you for your question. You said, do you believe in promoting yourself on social media like Instagram? I've heard mixed answers from people, some saying it's good and others saying it's vain. Wow, interesting. All right, speakers, what do you guys have to say about that?
11,000% promote yourself on social media. Are you kidding? Like what? Especially Instagram. I think the crazy thing is once you actually understand how each social media platform works, you'll know how to manipulate it the way you're supposed to. So even if let me just break down some of the 4 main ones. So Twitter is your voice, okay? Twitter is your voice. It's your thoughts. It's what you're thinking about. It's your feelings. It's your emotions. Twitter is your voice, okay? So anything that you have to say that's been sitting on your chest that you don't understand, that you want answers to, or if you have an opinion to, go on Twitter. Because people start whole threads based on people's conversations. And that's where you get the whole concept, like they're saying Twitter fingers. That's where that comes from. Twitter is a conversation space. Why do you think celebrities are most free on Twitter? Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
Celebrities say the most out-of-pocket things on Twitter. But it's not even necessarily out of pocket to them. That's just their emotion and their feelings. And that's a space where people just have dialogue, period. I think a lot of these social media platforms, everybody's trying to add so many things to compete with each other. But when you really know the essence of what each platform is supposed to be, Twitter is your voice. Facebook is the fastest and easiest place to really get your product out there and to network. Because the thing about Facebook is that it's so linked to so many people in a shorter rate of time than any social media platform. Like Facebook, anything that goes Facebook viral can go around viral a lot faster than any other platform. 5,000 fans on a Facebook fan page equates to 100,000 followers on Instagram. Wow. So if you're actually trying to reach a larger audience at a quicker amount of time, even if it's not necessarily the age demographic that you're thinking about, Facebook is really where you kind of go when you're really just looking to push a message really quickly. Because anybody that is following you, their network automatically sees it, and people's network on Facebook is not linear. It's actually very spread apart. So it touches the world a little bit faster. Where something like Instagram, the people that are following you are just the people that are following you. And if they're seeing it, it's really just them really seeing it. If they reshare it, it's just them that's really sharing it. But sometimes you're not getting a wider audience because a lot of people's Instagram following is very niche. It's niche to their close friends. It's niche to their close family, whatever the case is. Where Facebook, it's very widespread. Then you have LinkedIn, which a lot of people sleep on. If you are a business owner or if you are anybody that is trying to connect on a professional level, you go to LinkedIn. Because the thing about LinkedIn is people that are on LinkedIn are a little bit more focused. They're a little bit more serious. They're a little bit more goal-oriented. So they're there with a purpose. So the things that you're putting there and the things that you're talking about, they're there to actually pay attention and listen. It's not for entertainment. It's for when you're ready to take the next step to find your next job. It's when you're ready to do research about the company that you want to work with. It's when you're ready to really put a product out there, put a message out there, and you want people to really gravitate towards it and a call to action. Then you're on LinkedIn. And then you have Instagram. Instagram is your store. Instagram is your marketplace. That is your store. That is where you present your product. You tell people how it works. You give them the opportunity to even literally physically purchase on there. And that is where all of your marketing and your billboarding goes in one place. That's Instagram, right? So Instagram will take a little bit of your voice. We'll take a little bit of your tutorials. We'll take a little bit of insight on your product, a little bit of information on what it does, what it's about. And it's like all there packaged for you to even literally pick up and shop and pull from. You can now literally shop on Instagram. That is your store. So it kind of aligns and brings everything together in that one space. But once you kind of know what each platform is for and what each platform does and the type of audience that is on each platform and you use it properly, it is the greatest place to market yourself. Do not let anybody tell you that social media is not a platform that you can market yourself. Social media is a futuristic billboard. Social media is a futuristic commercial. You know what I mean? Whether it's vain or not, what makes it vain is how in which you promote yourself. Right. So it's not the what you're promoting, it's the how. That's what makes it vain. OnlyFans is vain to an extent because there's people on OnlyFans that are selling their feet. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and they're catering to foot fetishes. But the thing is, you're giving people a market that people want. Yeah. So is it really vain, or are you just giving a small group of people, or larger than you think, group of people something that they're missing? Yeah. So to me, it's the how, not really the what. I think you should definitely do it, but the way in which you do it, or like the gimmicks that you might throw in, or just kind of throwing a bunch of celebrities on your page, or you feeling like you need to look a certain way, that's when it starts to get a little bit convoluted. But if your message is strong and it's key and you're willing to teach people and the things that you do really resonate with you and things that you love, please get on there.
And I totally agree with what you're saying, and I like how you break everything down. I would say too, like, I agree, there's absolutely nothing wrong with promoting yourself on social media. Keep it authentic. Authenticity is so important. I feel like people will resonate with that. And as Frida said, like, just, you have to tailor it for different platforms, right? Like, sometimes I see posts on Instagram that look like it should be on Facebook, right? So there are different ways to tailor your message depending on the platform that you're using. One of the reasons why it's really important to promote yourself on social media is that you want to gain trust, right? And people are going to trust the person behind the brand, right? So you want to make sure that you focus, don't let your personal brand go to the wayside, right? You really want to focus on building your personal brand, become a person of influence, become an expert in a particular field. That's how you're going to gain trust. That's how you're going to get more opportunities. And that's how you're going to be able to grow your business. And just, I want to point out something that I think is very important. If you have a brand page, create a personal brand page as well. Like, don't mix the two. You know what I mean? Like, you can maybe reshare certain things on your personal and vice versa, but let your business page be your business page and let your personal brand page be your personal brand page, and allow them to kind of complement each other. So that's something that I think is important. And in terms of it becoming vain, I think it's more vain when you're on social media and it's only about you, right? And what I mean by that is you post and then you bounce. You post and then you're gone for like until the next time you post. So just be on there, right? And even if you don't post for your own page, even if you're not posting a selfie or posting whatever about your day or what have you, go on other people's pages and comment and like their stuff. DM people, build an actual connection with people. That's what social media is about, socializing. So as long as you're continuing to socialize while you're posting about yourself, I don't think that's vain. That's just, want to put that out there.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. That was such great information. Thank you guys so much. Okay, so we are going to now take that quick break. So it's not really a break, it's more of a networking break, everyone. So you guys are going to be automatically split into different rooms with each other. So just take this opportunity to share your social media, share your stuff. If you have questions, whatever, just take this opportunity, just like a real event network. All right, so we'll be there for 10 minutes and I'll see you guys shortly. So give me 1 second and all right, you guys should be on. Is everyone in the rooms?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Brooke?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I was going to ask you, like, I have a really, really powerful little exercise that I'd love to take everyone through, including you guys. So I was wondering if you could just put me in a break room as well, and then I could just share. It'll take really like 5 to 10 minutes, but I just don't want anyone to miss it because this is about mindset and confidence and kind of like be the person you're going to be. Sure. So I was just thinking, really.
That you're in, you can share. Do you mean sharing with the people that you're with?
I'd love to share it with everyone if possible, but if not, I can share it with the people in the the group, and then they can watch it.
Give me 1 second. Is anyone in the break room? Can I still see everyone?
Yeah, I still see everyone. And it should give you a prompt, right? It didn't give a prompt.
It didn't give a prompt, but it's just weird. It says everyone's in a breakout room. Okay, so
nothing's changed.
Like I said, we're having some technical difficulties. Okay, let's try this again.
Retrograde.
Yeah. It's still not working? Wow. Okay, Gnarly, I think the universe is on your side. So, okay, we're gonna switch things up here. We're gonna switch things up here. That's so weird. I should take a screenshot because it literally says everyone's in a room. Okay, since everyone's still here, Gnarly's actually gonna give us a beautiful presentation. So, yeah, that's fine. So she's actually gonna take up the 10 minutes. What I did want to do was have everyone network, but we'll network in the chat rooms, and then right now we'll just be blessed with a little short presentation by Gnarly. So I'm gonna put everyone on mute, and then you guys can just sit back, and Gnarly, you can take over. All right. Whenever you're ready.
Am I a host? I need to share my screen.
Yeah, you should be. Oh, you should be able to just share your screen.
Okay, awesome. So actually, let me see if I still have it. I will send you guys, hold on. It's actually a worksheet that I created for everyone here. It's about transforming your limits, right? When it comes to social media and being your best self, we can run into a lot of, self-sabotage and things like that kind of get in our way and these like negative thoughts. So I just wanted to break it down quickly, a little exercise. So you have to it says host disabled attendee screen sharing. So I can't quite share my screen yet. Yeah, if you guys click that link in the chat, you can actually keep the worksheet as well for yourself.
Try again, Gnarly.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So this is a little worksheet. This exercise is called the cost, right? So let's say you want to become a social media influencer, right? Sorry, before we get into it. A lot of us have these limiting stories and negative things about who we are and what's possible for us that gets in the way of our own success, right? We start to doubt ourselves, think we're not good enough, think that no one will care about us, right? So what I like to do with my clients is just break down the thoughts and the stories that they have around success, social media, any area of your life you can use this worksheet for, right? So this is called the cost, right? So if you have a piece of paper, you can even write it down like this and split your paper into 4 columns, right? Stories, payoffs, cost, and change, right? So let's just say that you have a story. Can you also see my mouse, by the way? Can you see my mouse? No, okay, that's okay. Let's say that you have a story that says, I can't go live on Instagram, right? You have this limiting story, this fear, right? All of the stories and limitations that we put on ourselves, they have a payoff. They serve us in some way, subconsciously or consciously, right? So let's say you had this story that's in your mind and you get really anxious about going live on Instagram. What would the payoff be? How would that story, that limiting belief be serving you, right? Well, the payoff of something like that would be, I don't have to build my business or put myself out there or share my voice, AKA it gets to keep me safe, right? You stay safe when you don't do something, right? The thing about our limitations is if we buy into them, if we buy into these stories, we get to keep them and we don't want to keep them, right? They hold us back, right? So then we take it a step further, right? Because when it comes to personal development and mindset and confidence, we have to take responsibility, right? So what is the cost of this story, right? The cost of this story that I can't go live on Instagram is I don't get to work with brands. I don't get to build my audience because people don't know who I am, right? And when you realize the cost of this story, that should be enough fuel to let you let go of it, right? Because obviously if you don't get to work with brands and build your audience, then you stay in the same place. Is this making sense to you guys?
Mm-hmm.
So the next step is to change the story, right? Change the limiting belief, right? If you were someone that could go live on Instagram, that felt comfortable going live on Instagram, what would you do? What actions, thoughts would you adopt, right? Mm-hmm. So the change would be, I will speak on camera, I will practice speaking on camera, I will make speaking notes, I will go live with a friend to get comfortable, right? So do you see how if you don't let go of this story and make this change, it's gonna cost you what you really want?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you guys?
Mm-hmm.
So you can do it for, I had the really big one that people won't take me seriously, right? I was going from a model to a life coach. I'm like, people are going to be like, what the hell? You know, I was really scared about that. Mm-hmm. And I'm running my business successfully. So thank God, right? But the thing that I kept saying is people aren't going to get it. People aren't going to take me seriously. No one understands, right? And that was my limiting story, right? And the payoff of that story was I got to stay safe and avoid failing. And that's what a lot of us try to do with social media. We try to avoid failing at what we really do want, right? And I realized the cost of believing and telling myself this story that people aren't going to take me seriously is I don't get to live my dreams and help people, because that is my life's calling, is to help people. And that cost, which is my purpose, is too much. So I had to let go of the story and make a change and start taking myself seriously, right? So you can use this for anything with relationships. Men are bad. What is the payoff? That got a little personal. The payoff is, you know, I get to stay safe. I don't have to have intimate relationships. The cost is what you want, right? The change is I will open myself up. Do you see how it works like that, right? Mm-hmm. So I created 2 little worksheets for you. And last but not least, I want to touch on this, which is a really big thing. This is like a big personal development thing that I learned that has changed my life. Mm-hmm. And then we'll be finished, right? So it's called the model of performance. A lot of us are thinking to ourselves, I must have, this is the first model, the have, do, be is what a lot of people operate from, right? I must have the time. I must have the social media following. I must have the money before I do the thing so I can be successful. This strategy, this performance is broken. Have, do, be is broken. The way to success on social media and in life is to be the person who does the things, and then you will have the time, money, and relationships and whatever else, right? So the question I ask you guys today is, who must I be to have the success that I want? The be, do, have model. This is a game changer. This cost me a lot of money to learn this, okay? So please take it in, okay? So who must I be to do the things, to have the things, right? You must be the influencer. You must be the coach. You must be the manager, right? And then you do the things, and then you have the business and the platform that you want. Okay, so that's my quick little presentation, the cost and the be, do, have. you guys have any questions on that? Oh, I can't hear you, Frida. I think everyone's muted.
You muted.
Okay.
Sorry. No, I was saying that was awesome. Just that flip. I have to screenshot that and post that.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I thought that was so beautiful. It's like unpacking your fears almost so that you can get through them. I think that's so needed. So I hope everyone is taking notes seriously, you guys. And she dropped the link again, so definitely click that, because once this is closed, you're not going to be able to access that. So you know you got something for free. I thank you, Gnarly. I think that was so amazing.
Good.
So
Good.
definitely need to unpack those fears so we can succeed. Okay, so we're going to get back into our questions. Okay, so Gnarly, so actually, yeah, let's just keep it on you for a little bit. So, you know, so we were talking a lot earlier about the vanity metrics, right? So, you know, creating content can, like we were saying, be overwhelming sometimes, whether it's due